Not all entrances do this, but the best pro wrestling entrances do. Today, I'm going to explain to you the hidden concepts, the secret technique behind wrestling's most effective entrances, so that you can apply it and start implementing it the very next time your music hits. Ready? I'm Mike Quackenbush, and this is Till We Make It. If you are struggling to break through in a bigger way, and you want to experience greater success in pro wrestling, subscribe to my channel right now. And I want to start off today by shouting out two of my newest patrons over on Patreon. Actually, they are both returning patrons. Welcome back. Delighted to have you, Dwayne and Delmer Jr. Thanks so much for supporting the work of Till We Make It. I want to help you get over as fast as possible. And in order to go about this effectively, we have to be on the same page about something. So, whether you know Act 1 of a pro wrestling performance as the Shine, or maybe you call it the Promise, or the Open, or you know it by some other term, Act 1 doesn't begin with the first lockup. It begins long before that. Because if the audience can see you, you're on stage, you are performing. This means Act 1 begins the moment you come through the curtain. Oh, and before I go any further, if you would please, leave a like-a-palooza on today's video. My engagement numbers need the help. Thank you very much. I've got a little pop quiz for you. 3 questions I want you to answer. First, why does Andre the Giant step over the top rope during his entrance? It's not because it's convenient for tall guys. Why does Rey Mysterio fly onto the stage during his entrance? And I do know that his banged up knees does not allow for this awesome entrance anymore. Why, of all the things you could possibly choose to do, does Jade Cargill make her entrance while flexing? Why show us her muscles? Why make that choice? All of those choices contribute to how quickly the audience understands that wrestler's in-ring value. That is the first concept I want to break down for you today. And what is in-ring value? It is the thing that helps a wrestler to win their matches. So Andre the Giant has the in-ring value of size. Rey Mysterio has the in-ring value of high flying ability. Jade Cargill has the in-ring ability of incredible strength. These things are all communicated to the audience by the choices the performers are making. And because it's right there in their entrance, the audience understands each of them immediately. When you communicate your in-ring value to the audience before the opening bell sounds, that is the technique known as front-loading. And if this term is new to you, I want to make it as easy to understand as possible. Front-loading is when you convey critical bits of context or information to the audience about your in-ring character, the way that you wrestle, personality, even mood or tone, and you do all of this prior to the opening bell. When this is done effectively, I guarantee it's going to get you over so much faster, because the audience has all the information they need to sit back and enjoy the match, enjoy the story that you're telling them. But in order to do this, you have to know what your in-ring value is. That's things like technical skill, size, speed, flexibility, power, high flying skill. If you know what your in-ring value is, put it for me down below in the comments right now. So if you happen to be designing your wrestling entrance right now, or maybe today's video will inspire you to reinvent your entrance, you want to front load as much of that critical context as possible into the earliest part of the performance, before the bell even sounds. And I want to give you an example so you feel ready to apply this to your own work. Let's say that your in-ring value is speed. Well, you can front load that into your entrance by sprinting to the ring at 1,000,000 miles an hour, or maybe once you're in the ring, while you're waiting for your opponent to be announced, you could hit the ropes back and forth, showing off your speed to the audience. Remember that Act 1 of a pro wrestling performance is sometimes called the promise. And here's what that term means to me. In Act 1, we are making a promise to the audience, and then the physicality of our performance, it must fulfill that promise. So, to get really specific here, if your entrance happens to showcase you flying gracefully through the air, well, you can fulfill that promise by doing high-flying moves throughout the course of your match. When you go about this work clearly and directly, it strengthens your presentation and it gets you over quicker. Or, to flip that pancake over for a second, you will have a weaker presentation if you don't go about fulfilling the promise in a clear way to the audience, or, in a worst case scenario, you promise the audience one thing during your entrance and then do something completely different while you're wrestling. Now I know, a moment ago I said that the moment the audience can see you, that Act 1 has begun, and that's not exactly true. It actually begins a few seconds earlier. This next concept I want to talk about with you, while it's something in and of itself, I also believe it too is a front-loading technique that can make your entrance more effective. Because if your entrance theme is playing 5, 8, 10 seconds before you come through the curtain, well, you're performing there too, right? The audience can hear that music, and that's an opportunity to be communicating critical context to them. Your entrance theme can tell them something about your in-ring value, your character or personality, mood, or tone. Because this too is doing some of that communication with the audience, it's front-loading. It comes before the opening bell. This is why I believe your entrance theme isn't for you, it's for them. And the them I'm referring to is the audience. That's who we make the show for. We aren't making your personal pump-up playlist. We're choosing a theme song to communicate critical context to the audience. And when we get this exactly right, it's exceptionally effective. I can think of no better example of it than this. And now granted, there's some extra production effects like lighting which enhance this entrance, and I know not all of us have WrestleMania entrance money in the budget to make something as effective as this, but it sure does a great job of communicating a lot of that critical context to the audience. I'm relatively certain that's not the song The Undertaker is jamming out to when he's cruising to Dairy Queen with the windows down on a hot summer night, but that weird funeral dirge combined with the ominous way that he stalks to the ring, that absolutely communicates something about the character, about the mood of the performance. It gives a lot of critical context to the audience before The Undertaker even sets foot in the ring. And I think that even if you don't like this entrance, it is undeniably effective. When you put in the creativity and the effort to front-load as much critical context as possible into those precious moments before the first lockup, I think you're going to get over much faster and much more effectively. And if you can master this technique, apply these concepts to both what you do before the opening bell and the theme music which plays you out, that's when the real magic begins. If you want to dive deeper into pro wrestling entrances, I can think of no better place to start than the playlist I've assembled for you of all the other videos here on the channel about that exact topic. Click on it right now and you'll dive directly in. On screen is a roll call of all my awesome patrons. These are the people supporting the work of Till We Make It and keeping this channel going. Thanks to each and every one of you.